Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce. We're recording today from the Dashmore Conference Room in studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I'm Marty Woodward from Rescued Wood Rehab, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Brad Marshall from Greater Culture CrossFit here in Fuquay Arena. Brad, how the heck are you?
Doing well. Feel like we're a quarter of the way through the year and it's pollen season.
Yeah.
So, enjoying the weather, but also everything's yellow.
I got my hair cut, and do I sound any different?
I don't think so. Is that a trick question?
No. I'm just having a little fun, but I'm excited about some positivity.
I am as well.
With our guest today.
Absolutely. We've got Leslie Lockhart here, founder and owner of Positively Community. Really excited to learn a little bit more about you and your story and how you're impacting local communities, and excited about what you're going to bring to Fuquay Arena. So, Leslie, thanks for being a guest on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I know we chatted a little bit before hopping on air that Positively Community has been around for 12 years. So tell us a little bit about this business that you started.
Yes, so I started in 2014 with a neighborhood magazine in Apex, and immediately leapt into a culture of really being hands-on because I grew my business through networking with places like the Chamber. So I started doing events really as a way for my marketing partners that were advertising in the magazine to get out and meet people and develop those relationships so that more word of mouth would develop, or someone say, hey, I met that roofer one time. Now I need a roof, or someone said they need a roof and I met him. He's a cool guy. So that evolved over years and years. And now it's catapulted me to where I am today. And it's changed a lot, but it's still the same premise.
Yeah. And so what inspired you or got you excited to get into this line of work of trying to bring people together from the community, creating a magazine, having people be able to network and share ideas with each other? What got you into that line of work?
Well, so my why is really deep. It really is. I grew up a very dysfunctional family in childhood and really couldn't depend on my parents. So friends were my chosen family. And so I would glom on to like my friends' parents and families and like sleep over and stuff. And I was a great like self-motivated student. So I was lucky that way. I didn't go on a bad path, but because of that, I felt like I didn't really have a community. And so I had to build my own always. And so now I've made a whole career of building a community for myself and for everybody else.
I love that ability, sometimes learn forced to, and then turn that into, hey, I get to, and now excited to see how you bring all these different enterprises together. And so I imagine you said been in business for 12 years now, probably some challenges along the way or things that have continued to evolve and develop. Talk to us a little bit about what that journey has looked like, some of the challenges and how you've evolved over these 12 years.
Well, kind of my secret sauce was always my events and then the pandemic. So I'm very creative. That's my biggest strength. And I quickly adapted to Zoom and doing like virtual events. And I remember back in the first like 6 months of 2020 pandemic, I did a couple of like ladies' nights, and I would go and drop off a bag at their house for the party and stuff. But then I was one of the first people doing in-person events that fall, and I would just say, hey, here's hand sanitizer. Wear a mask if you're comfortable, because I do an annual like pet fest, and people started following me because I was one of the only people from the first couple of years of the pandemic doing events, and I just said, do what you're comfortable with, and so now I have a following because of that in a world full of events.
Oh, wow. It's amazing how you can adapt, adjust, especially during those times. And now I'm excited to see how things unfold for you as you have went from Apex, Holly Springs, to now coming to Fuquay Arena. But talk to us a little bit about some of the unique aspects, you'd say, of your business and how you've continued to grow and build relationships and what that looks like.
So there's two main aspects to my business now. One is like what I call the membership tier platform. I act as like a brand ambassador. I work with local businesses. I really get try to get them engaged in the community in an organic way. They sign up, they pay for either by the month or the year on a different tier, and then they get access to things like my blog and my community calendar and a business landing page on my website, and then my events, and basically just me acting as their personal strategist. I even have one of my clients as a hypnotist, like a therapist, and she started getting into stage comedy shows, hypnosis shows. She's like, basically, I'm her agent now. Like, I just kind of customize it what they need. And now I have, starting last summer, these resource guides that are printed in digital, focused on a certain town, annual, and that's really taken off. The community really likes it, and so that's like a separate product, but my members get certain perks.
Oh, fantastic.
So tell us about it. You've got the products and services that you provide. So tell us about the product first, and then get into us. What services do you provide for members and then for the community at large?
So for my members, depending on the tier, they get some interaction on my website. I might do some of it for them. They may do some of it, a little bit of social media collaboration. They give them ideas of things they could do because I'm really creative outside of my program, but I'll publicize it for them if they're having their own event that's not has to do with me, or we can host an event. I do 2 to 4 events in the community a month. Anything from a networking happy hour at an escape room last week, or a big vendor dog fest with a costume contest at Halloween. I even have had a talent show. I do a kids fair for holidays and things like that. And then they get a discount on the guide. And there's different ways to be involved in the guide, very affordable, from anything from the directory, the business directory in there, and coupons to ads. And then the guides also have just, it's like the most comprehensive resource out there that I've ever seen for the town. It's great for people living in the town already, but especially for perspective, they find it online, or new people, because it's got history, it's got things to do, it's got information about the town itself, and the government, a letter from the mayor, the chamber, organizations you can support. I've even got a page of places of worship because I wanted to be a full guide, the school calendars for public school, a coloring page. So, and I do the covers done by a local artist. And I'm just always improving it because I keep thinking of ideas. But people told me the other day, they said, you should do one in Orange County and just do, the county. I said, no, each town has its own story. How did they get the name of the town? And it's easy to fluff up some articles about that stuff if you need to, but there's so much history people have no idea about in their town.
And this seems like it's something you're bringing together a whole bunch of things
Mm-hmm.
that maybe other people do, but there's not
Right.
really a competition. You don't have
No.
competition of this.
The only competition is for marketing dollars with small businesses.
Sure, out of the marketing dollar. So, tell us about you've got Positively Holly Springs, you've got Positively Apex.
Mhm.
When can we expect to see something for
So
Fuquay Arena? Because there's a story with Fuquay Arena.
absolutely, I'm excited. And I've already connected with Liz Pardue, the local historian, to do my history section.
Character we need to
Yeah,
get her on.
yeah, you absolutely do. We met last week and we were like Insta besties. So I plan for 2027 to come out with the annual edition for all 3. Along the way, if someone then contacts me from another town, I'm essentially going to not officially franchise yet, but take them under my wing and train them on how to do, because I just can't do it all. But the first one's always the hardest because you're coming up with it from scratch. But then after that, it's just more tweaking it.
So tell us about any community involvement that you've got going on right now, or maybe here in the near future that people want to look for.
Yeah, so if you follow my social media pages, either Positively Apex or Positively Community, I'm trying to transition everything to Positively Community, but people knew me as Positively Apex for so long. But I have lots of events always coming up. And I'm doing a fundraiser for one of my nonprofit partners in April that's like a wine and candy pairing. So people can come have some fun and support a great organization and eat some candy, drink some wine, learn about it. And then I am going to have a booth at the Holly Springs Springs Fest, and just always out there in the community. I'm very involved with chambers. I'm very involved with nonprofits. One of my great things I do is a nonprofit can join my platform for just $99 for the year. And I always say I offer businesses and organizations opportunities because I can't do everything for you. I'm not running your business, but if you engage with me, I engage with you and help you. And so, people have the best intentions. They're all busy. We're all busy. And so it's like, oh, I'll get to that later. But then suddenly their year of membership's gone and they didn't do anything or come to an event. I'm like, well, I tried, you know. Sometimes I have those clients though. I get those relationships and I just like want to pull them by the ear. I'm like, you're coming.
Yeah.
You're doing this.
I think that's it can be a challenge for business owners. They get so wrapped up in doing the work that having the opportunity to step outside the four walls of their business and go meet people and
Yeah.
see what others are doing is such a fantastic opportunity through the chamber, through events like you're doing. And I imagine there were some lessons that you've learned over the years. You mentioned, working through the pandemic and working through print and digital. So what are some of the lessons that you feel like you've learned owning a business now for over a decade?
But just always be ready to shift and adapt. You know, don't consider it a failure. It's really hard to let go of something that's not working just because you put so much time and energy and money into it. The first magazines I did them for 10 years and I held on to them with a death grip because people loved them. It's not that people didn't like them. The businesses were in it liked it. The community liked it, but it wasn't making me any money. And I finally was like, okay, I got to call this because it was taking so much time and energy and money that I couldn't move on to the things that now I'm being successful with. I mean, I have so many goals. I'm an ambitious person. I want an app. I want a podcast. I want a store where we sell souvenirs for towns and stuff. So I've just got endless ideas, and I had to kind of cut that cord and not look back. But it was great for when it lasted. But I also, another huge tip I've learned is interns. Interns are amazing.
Yeah.
And I would not be where I am without my wonderful interns through the years. I've been using them for about 10 years from local high schools and colleges, and a lot of times they're free. And most high schools, um, they are trying to get them for their college resume application, and some of them have official like programs where they're required to do an internship, and some of them you just contact like the guidance counselor and say, hey, how do I get an intern? And some of them are duds and some of them are studs, but it's it's basically me and a salesperson and 3 interns right now doing all this.
Yeah. I love the experiences that you highlighted there and the ability to pivot, to change course of direction, adapt if needed, and figure out what's the next best step. And then getting creative, which is one of your strengths. I'd love to pull on that thread a little bit more of what does that look like to, for those who are maybe aspiring entrepreneurs or people who are trying to figure it out, of how did you develop the ability to pivot and realize, hey, this isn't working the way I want it to. I need to change course. Walk somebody through how they might be able to do that as well.
I don't know if I could teach that because I think because of my childhood and dysfunctional, and I was kind of left on my own, independent from a very young age. I had to learn. I had to like be thrown out there and get the street smarts. I mean, I remember going to college. My roommate, who was my best friend from high school, she didn't know how to write a check, do her own laundry, any of that stuff. And I'm like, are you stupid? Like, but I just had to. I was forced to. You know, if I wanted clean clothes at 7 years old, I had to do it. You know, and I, but I it's just experience and definitely networking and using the power of connection and not being afraid to ask for help or advice. And there's a lot of social media groups that are good for that, but then you get, lots of bad advice too. It's like someone asking for medical advice on those groups. It's like, don't do that. But there are many great organizations out there like chambers that either are very low cost or free and very lots of resources for business owners.
Yeah, and I also can get a sense from your creativity that you are excited about not only the projects that are ongoing and that are developing, but you mentioned that there's some upcoming goals and things that you aspire to. Can you talk to us a little bit about what some of those aspirations and goals are that you're working
Absolutely.
towards?
I mean, I want to take this thing nationwide. I want to positively Denver, Colorado. I want to positively Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all the things. And so I'm working on, nobody steal my ideas, but I'm working on trademarking and stuff. And I've been established a long time now. So I think I have a pretty good shot of having dibs. But I am excited to bring other people on board. And I've already learned, like I brought one person on board with the thought of possibly them doing the Holly Springs one last fall, and then they didn't work out. And I was like, I'm glad I learned that lesson from the very beginning because now I know. And it was just like a friend of a friend. And I'm like, okay, I need a better application process. I need a background check. I need NDA, all these things so that I can try to weed out, find the right person who's going to commit and really find out their strengths. Like, are they just a salesperson? Because this is not just a sales job if you actually are the publisher of one of these. It's organizing the content and at least finding the right resources with a historian in the town and business owners that might know what they're talking about.
It's funny you mentioned Denver because my daughter lives in Denver, so we actually have a listener out there.
All
Yeah.
right. If you know anybody who knows Denver history and stuff,
It's funny she mentioned Milwaukee because that's my hometown too. So I was like, she's going Denver, Milwaukee. I was like, did you know something about us? Did she do her research?
I've used those examples before.
Tracking us. Well, when you have a great podcast,
I believe it's fate.
So, you're out and about in the community a lot, right?
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite spot or two in the Fuquay Arena area that you're like, hey, that's my go-to?
Yes, a lot of times when I meet people for like a one-on-one or a sales meeting or something, I either meet at the Mill or Stick Boy. I like Stick Boy because pastries, coffee, but there's not as much room to sit there. So the Mill has lots of room and beer.
And beer. That's
Both fantastic spots.
Good ad. Good ad. Leslie, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
The fortune is in the follow-up. And I'm horrible at it because it's only so much time in the day. I need 5 of me, but it's definitely easier to follow up with someone you've already developed that starting relationship with.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Is there a surprising fact about your business, the Positively community?
Surprising. I don't know if it's surprising, but I'll tell you the story how I got the name. So it was Christmas 2021, and I was at my in-laws, and they live out in the country, and they just watched like the news like at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I just, not that I want to be my head in the sand, but my whole business is about, bringing the community together. And, it's like, I struggle with mental health issues. And so it's like, what can I control? I can't control what the numbers of COVID were that, day. And I didn't have to hear it 5 times. So I said, I want something that's the opposite of this. Like, I don't want it to focus on the negative. I want it to focus on the positive. And so, which is what I've been doing, just not calling it Positively. So I was like, Positively Apex. Eureka. And so that's kind of got me off and running with this whole brand. And my mascot is the sun, as you can see on my shirt, and his name is Sunny, of course. And hopefully in the future we'll have some Sunny merchandise.
I love hearing the story of how people come up with the name of the business or just the ideas and the concepts. And I love seeing how it comes to life as well, not only in the magazine, but we've got stickers and business cards and pens in front of us. And so it's really cool to see all of the different pieces and what they do to help people understand a little bit more about your business. And so you mentioned earlier, for folks who are interested in connecting with you, learning about the platform, what are the best ways for interested people to get involved with Positively connection or community?
Well, you can DM me through any of my social channels, mainly Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I do have a YouTube channel for Positively Apex. One of the fun things I do with my members is a carpool karaoke series. Yeah, it's called Positively Apex Ride Along with a Song. So we do a little interview and then we ride in the car and sing a silly song. Anyway.
Cass could be in a car. Why not? Why not? We'll do some air squats and we'll sing along.
Physical by. Yeah. Anyway, so but then my website, positivelycommunity.com, there's forms to fill out there or my contact information. But my email is positivellyapex@gmail.com. My text is 919-745-0494. So
perfect. A lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Get connected, check out what you're doing, the events, how you're supporting communities. You mentioned you're someone who loves getting together with other people, chambers, events, etc. So, new member to the Chamber of Commerce here in Fuquay Arena. So, what are some of the best pieces or aspects of being a member of the Chamber of Commerce from your experience?
Well, the staff here, Dustin and Christy, are the best staff I've ever seen in a chamber. And it's such an active chamber, and they've done an amazing job at just building the FOMO. Okay, so like my friend joined finally back in fall of last year. She's like, "You got to join. This chamber is growing, growing, and nobody wants to miss out on something that's like a hot thing, right?" And they have the best following on social media and stuff like that. So I just love how involved they are in helping in promote their business members. And it's hard. I mean, I was on the board of a chamber and an ambassador, and there's a lot of members to juggle. And I have that problem with like 50 members. I can't imagine doing it fairly for 500 members, but they seem to do a great job and always be aware of it. Their events are great and they have a podcast. Come on.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
We'll
take that.
We'll take that. Yeah. We're continuing to try and provide value to people just like you are, which is so fantastic. So really enjoyed getting to know you, Leslie, hearing a little bit more about your business. We're excited for 2027 to see how the magazine can impact Fuquay Arena, learn a little bit about the history, have a directory of people, and just get people together. Another opportunity to connect and collaborate as business owners. So thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
Thanks. Can I just tag one exciting event this summer?
Yeah.
So July 16th, everybody save the date. Everybody's invited. It's 25% like guide celebration for the year, and business anniversary, all that kind of stuff. But it's also my 50th birthday this month or next month. So I'm going to do a big bash this summer because I'm going on a cruise for my actual birthday. And it's going to be July 16th at the Gather Station in New Hill. But the theme is Bicentennial Disco. So y'all get ready.
Disco.
Centennial Disco.
Bicentennial Disco.
6.
Oh,
the bicentennial, baby.
I like it.
I don't care about 250.
Yeah.
I'm about I collect bicentennial stuff.
Leslie, thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners. Join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce as we highlight great local businesses. From the Dashmore Conference Room in studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab, I am Marty.
And I'm Brad.
And we are
Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay Arena, Chamber of Commerce. We're better together podcast.